I have worked with over 64 different businesses creating marketing strategies for each. These businesses, some of which now generate clients worth more than $2 million, are a testament of the power of marketing strategies. And today, I'm here to guide you on how to build your own strategy for success. Before we get into that, let me explain what the YouTube video is about and what we will cover. In this video, I'm going to cover lessons that I've learned from building strategies for over 64 different businesses. The first one is why a marketing strategy? Why should you care about a marketing strategy? The second one is the number one thing businesses need to do that most forget about doing, and it's extremely important for businesses to succeed. Then we're going to look at breakdown of the 6 main areas to focus on when building a marketing strategy, which is key. And based on these 6 ones, you can go even more robust. And then I'm going to show you what I've started implementing with businesses that make a huge difference in the way marketing is integrated with the business. Before I even get into detail, let me explain who I am. I worked for Allan Dib, this guy here, who is the writer of the best-selling book, One Page Marketing Plan, and I learned his methodology. That gave me a chance to work with over 64 different businesses in different industries, creating a strategy for each, which was a great learning curve to learn how to implement a marketing strategy for a different industry. And that led me to understand that the fundamentals are the same regardless of the type of business. This allowed clients to generate over $3 million worth of new business by implementing the same principles I'm going to teach you today. And finally, I am in the process of building my own fractional CMO business, and I'm sharing everything I learned along the way. So if you want to keep on learning more, just follow and you will see new videos being updated constantly. So why do I do all this? Well, my goal is to teach you how to build a business that runs smoothly so you can have the life that you want. Okay, so let's get started. So why marketing strategy? Well, without a marketing strategy, your efforts can become scattered, leading to wasted resources and missed opportunities. I'm sure you've had that happen to you. And what happens is a solid strategy really sets the foundation for measurable results and sustained growth. I'm sure you've heard the saying, or maybe have even said it yourself. I certainly hear it all the time from business owners that having no marketing strategy is like throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks. And in short, a marketing strategy is basically the roadmap to success. It aligns your teams, it optimizes your resources, and it drives your business forward, which is extremely important and what we're all looking for. So without it, you might end up spending hundreds, if not thousands of dollars without a clear north and very little results to show for it. What happens here is most of the time we end up focusing our efforts on resource allocation. And again, without a strategy, you can see the results speak for themselves. It's very, very low. There's no adaptability to what the market changes are that are currently going through. There's no consistency. And that is key when it comes to really building a robust marketing department and building marketing strategies. You need to be consistent with the strategies, but that will only happen if you're clear on the goals. You want to have measurable results. If you're throwing spaghetti out the wall, it's very hard to really know and measure the right things for the business. You're basically, putting your finger out there, hoping that things were just going to work. And there's no alignment and integration. And this is a key part, which I'll talk more about further down the line. But basically what all this drives to, or what all this leads to, is when you do have a marketing strategy, it gives you a lot of clarity and focus. And not only you, but also all the other departments inside of your business. That's why it's key to have a marketing strategy. So before we even get into talking about the different things to analyze when building out your marketing strategy, I need to take a stop and talk about the number one thing businesses need to do that most forget about doing. Most businesses focus on testing new strategies or tactics without realizing the most powerful tool is talking with their current customers and even past leads. So instead of investing thousands of dollars hiring an insights business, you can go straight to the source and ask the questions. And that is one of the first things I want you to do. I myself have built a robust system for conducting client experience interviews, and I highly recommend you do so as well. Because by going straight to the source, by being able to ask your past customers and even your existing customers the whole journey, the whole funnel journey, it's going to give you a lot of insights about how they found you, what they liked about working with you, and what they disliked. And this is going to be key in order to really build a robust marketing strategy. Instead of creating hypotheses about how you can find them, You can literally get the information from them. And it's a very simple concept, but a lot of businesses forget to do so. So when you do have these interviews, which I highly suggest you do, I want you to take them through the journey. Starting with some pre-engagement questions. Basically, how did they found you? The top of the funnel. Was it through paid ads? Was it because word of mouth? Was it SEO? You want to understand what are all the different points that led to them working with you. How did they first find you? What were the reasons that they were looking for somebody like you, right? What made them decide that you were the right fit for the business? This is extremely, extremely important, and I'm going to explain why later. Then we also want to be able to ask questions while we're working with them or during our work in progress. Even if you've already finished working with them, it's going to be key. So how the work has been or how the work was while you were working with them. This is going to be key again, because it's going to allow you to understand where there are some gaps that you can fill in, where there were some really big opportunities for improvement, but also what they really enjoyed. And that is something that you can go ahead and promote afterwards. And finally, you can build out post-work questions, which is basically in the offboarding. Now, most businesses really mess this up, which is once they finished working with a client, that's it. No, nothing else happens. There's no follow-up. There's no surveying. There's no testimonials. And it's important for the customer, even if they finished working with you, to feel like the offboarding was even great. It was excellent. That way, through the whole funnel, they're really feeling like they got the best experience working with you. So asking these sorts of questions and having the time to sit down with as many customers, ideal customers as possible, is really going to be important for your business to do. And again, it's something that I see a lot of businesses forgetting to do, or they just don't think about doing. And this is going to set you up for success when building out your marketing strategy. Now, the other really important part is messaging, ideal customer, and conducting interviews. Again, we haven't even gotten to the tactics and the different things we look at. These are just things that you need to keep in mind when building your marketing strategy. Once we've captured all the information from those interviews, this is going to be extremely helpful for building a robust messaging, for really understanding who your ideal customer is, and it's all going to be done through conducting these interviews. Now, you might be thinking, messaging, seriously, it might not be as important. But here's the thing. A HubSpot research found that there's a 73% higher conversion for companies that have a comprehensive understanding of their ideal customer avatars. Also, by identifying and addressing customer pain points, a case study showed a 39% increase in conversion rates. And finally, if you generate content that triggers emotions related to pain points, that can really increase conversions by up to 10 times. So these customer experience interviews, that is the whole idea behind them. You being able to understand what are your ideal customers' pain points, what are their aspirations, what are their dreams, because you can turn that into a compelling messaging. That way, when they find your content, when they go to your website, they're going to say, oh, that's me. That's what I'm going through, or that is what I am aspiring to achieve. That way, you're going to have a reason to connect with them, and that's going to increase the chances of them working with you versus going with the competition. So again, messaging is not one of those things where it's nice to have. It's going to be the key element for your business to succeed. So I want to show you what this actually translates to. Right now, you're seeing examples of the same website, the old one and the new one. Now, a small caveat, I couldn't find the old one, so I did the Wayback Machine and I got a screenshot. But the most important thing here is the messaging and the copy. Before, the copy was all focused on what this client thought the business needed to talk about, what the ideal customers were interested in. So it just said the professional agile leadership essentials training with his name will pave the way for you. That messaging really doesn't say anything. It's not connecting with me. It's unclear. High quality training for theory and practice in interaction with Scrum teams, with exercises and applications for the daily business on Agile Manager, and then a couple more information there. Now, this website was getting zero traction. It got no leads. There was also no lead capture systems, but it was getting no leads. And the reason this is important is because this website had been up for quite some time and it just wasn't getting any traffic. So what we did afterwards is we went ahead and we redid the website. Before we even looked into design, which this is still on the process, still in the designing stages, the most important thing, and where we spent about a month or so, was conducting these customer experience interviews to understand what the ideal customer's aspirations were, what their pain points were. And based on this, we created a new copy for the website. We ended up redoing the whole website. But I want to share with you what you're seeing in these red squares are the keywords that stood out multiple times from conducting different customer experience interviews. They wanted to increase their business value. They wanted to have engaging courses. They wanted real world examples. They wanted to increase their confidence, and they wanted to grow professionally. So what we did is we took all those keywords and we implemented them into the copy, into the messaging of the website. That way they could resonate with the message. When they read it back, it made sense to them. And this message might not resonate with you, but that's okay. It resonates with the ideal client. So much so that within a month of having launched the website, it still wasn't indexed. We already had 276 visits. That is a lot of traffic for a website that is new, that has no design, and hasn't been even indexed properly inside of Google. But the reason it got that much traction is because our ideal customers were looking for these specific keywords as well. So whenever they did look for these combinations of keywords, our website stood out. And hopefully this shows you why it's extremely important to have a messaging that resonates, and really taking the time to talk with your ideal customers to build that messaging to identify their pain points. So again, before we even get into the strategies, I want to go back on the first two things. First, conducting those customer experience interviews, going through the whole funnel, the pre-work, the during work, and the post-work. Build those questions, and if you want me to share with you some of the questions I have, just drop a comment below. I'm happy to share them with you. And the second step is really take your time to build out and understand what the messaging for these people are going to be, and especially who your ideal customer is. Who is it that you service? As you can see here, we are very clear on our target market. It's modern knowledge workers. It's a bit broad, but it's what made sense for the client. So I want you to focus on those two things. Once you're very clear on those, we can move on to the strategies. So the first strategy and the first thing that we look at is content marketing. Now, content marketing can be anything from blogs, white papers, ebooks, case studies, webinars, lead magnets, whatever you want. But what you want to focus on doing is focus on high quality, valuable content, right? So you always want to aim to provide value to your audience by solving their problems, again, that you've already learned beforehand, by answering their questions and offering insights into the solutions that they're looking for. And you can definitely use SEO for best practices by optimizing the content with relevant keywords to increase visibility. Just like we did on the website, with the keywords that we identified, we implemented them, and that drove traffic to the website. So this is the first thing that I want you to sit down and think about, which is based on all the different pain points that we identified, what type of lead magnet could I create? And I mean, you can use ChatGPT nowadays to give you ideas based on the pain points, how you can solve those pain points. And that's going to be a really good way for you to build trust with your consumers. And by adding things like this, you're going to be able to utilize them as lead capture systems as well. So that's the first part, content. The second one is SEO, following up on what I was just saying. So organic traffic or organic search drives 53.3% of all the website traffic. More than paid ads, more than social media, it's organic content. And there's still a lot of businesses out there that really don't put that much effort into building a website that is SEO optimized, that has keywords, or even blog or content that can be utilized to attract new customers. I want you to think about something. Whenever you are researching something online, you might go to social media, you might look at TikTok, Instagram, whatever that might be. But you are also going to probably go to Google and search for Google queries. And that 99% of the time, it leads to a blog where you can read more about that. And then when you do read that blog, that is taking you to a website where you learn more about what that specific business offers. This is something that we all go through, the same process that we all go through. And you need to start doing the same for your business, which is optimizing for SEO. And there's three key components that you want to look at. on-page SEO, so optimizing your website content, the meta tags, and the headlines. And look, you can hire somebody to do this for you, and I would highly recommend you do so because your time is probably better spent in business growth, not on optimizing all these things. You can look at off-page SEO, so building high-quality backlinks and social signals. And finally, technical SEOs to ensure that the site is fast, it's mobile friendly, and it is secure. And you can use tools like Google Analytics for this to find those keywords, SEMrush, Ahrefs, that can really help you track and improve your SEO efforts. And I was even doing a quick search on SEO tools. You can log into platforms like AppSumo and find lifetime deals of platforms that are going to help you understand what those keywords are and even how to add them to your own website for content creation, for blogs and all that. So SEO is going to be important, and it's definitely one of those things that I start looking at with businesses. It is like finances. SEO compounds over time. So the sooner you start doing it, the quicker you're going to get results, because it does take a little bit of time to get some traction. The third thing is email marketing, which is really based on nurture and cold email. Now, I want you to keep this graph in mind, and I got this from Alan Dibb's book, The One-Page Marketing Plan. Only 3% of your total audience is ready to buy from you right now. So the leads that actually fall on your website and they purchase your product or your service make up that 3%. There's an additional 7% who are very open to buying. They just either haven't made the decision or they're still, they're in the final stages. But there's a 30%, a huge piece of the pie that is interested, but not right now. Meaning they know they need the service or they might be close to needing the service, but they're not ready to purchase right now. And this is extremely important to keep in mind because you can't only be relying on that 3 or that 7%. You're missing out on that additional 30% that could potentially buy from you. The way we capture that 30% or we increase our chances of capturing that 30% is by building nurture processes. The best way to do so is email marketing. So whenever you build content like a lead magnet and a lead capture system, like a landing page with white papers, with ebooks, with some free resource you can give them, you can capture their information and input them into a lead nurture process. That way, if you keep on providing the right information, again, going over their different pain points, their aspirations, you're going to be able to nurture these people. So the 30% will eventually become part of that 3 and 7%. That is extremely important for any business to have. And if you don't have a lead nurturing process right now, you're missing out on a lot of potential leads. So one thing to keep in mind is hyper-personalization is key when it comes to these things. You want to be speaking with your audience. You want to be addressing their pain points. You want to be addressing their aspirations. Don't talk about general stuff. Provide value. You want to give more than you ask. So I have a 5-to-1 ratio where out of 6 emails, 5 are value-based. We're just showcasing social proof. We're showing our expertise. And that 6th email is a direct call to action to work with you. But that is usually the ratio I use, and it works pretty good for me. And I also want to talk about the next stage, which is a lot of cold emails. Now, a lot of businesses cringe at the idea of implementing cold emails, but I actually see it as a huge opportunity. There's a blue ocean for cold emails. And especially if you're B2B, this strategy is essential for you to start implementing. The reason being is that there are a lot of really bad cold emails out there, which opens up the opportunity for really good cold emails. So I want to show you an example of what a really bad email is. Here, this person, she didn't have a terrible subject line. Successful 8 million raise, experienced case study writer available. The thing here is when a reader reads this, they already know that this is probably going to be a cold email because she's already offering her services. So you're not giving this person a chance to really get interested in what you have to say. So always keep in mind the subject line, and I'll create a separate video on cold email and really how to build out a robust cold email. But this is the first thing. The second one is she's addressing some things that they have achieved, which is really good. This email is bland. It's got no breaking points. It's got no pattern interrupts. It's just a lot of text. And as a busy business owner, if I come across this, I'm not going to read that. It's way too long. I don't have time for this. It's just a terrible example of what a cold email should be. And I'm sure you've received a lot of these cold emails, maybe even shorter that are straight to the point without even building trust. So again, going back to the hyper-personalization, making it interesting and engaging, you want to think about the subject line. You want to think about pattern interrupts, which is a way that you can stop the reader and make them really analyze what they're seeing or what they're reading. And I want to show you an example of a cold email campaign that I did. So in this example, it was a cold email campaign that I ran. The subject line was crazy. It just said, Aaron, in this case, as an example, I brewed this coffee for you. It generated a pattern interrupt because it really didn't talk about what it was that I was looking at. And for a person or for a business owner, this is going to be weird, but it worked. Here, you can also see that I personalized it by adding this person's name and what their role was. But the most important thing, and this is hyper-personalization, I added an image, and you can even see that the cup had the person's name in here. Now, there's a lot of really good tools out there that can help you do all this. The one I really enjoy utilizing is Lemlist, which allows you to do all this. The reason this works is because it's different. This, again, compared to this past email, at least in my perspective, it's more engaging. The copy is shorter. It's not as long as these bulky lines, and it does have some images to generate that pattern interrupt. Now, I sent this email to 578 leads and got a 65.74% open rate just by having a good subject line, and I got a lot of bookings out of that as well. So cold email is going to be a key strategy for any business owner, especially if you're B2B. It's going to be essential. If you're B2C, I would suggest you use this strategy, but more for partnerships and joint ventures. That's the best way you can utilize strategies like this. So again, remember, the first one is going back to this, content marketing. So again, remember, going back to what I talked about, content marketing, SEO, and email nurture and cold email. Those are things that I really look at that can generate revenue quickly. And if that is part of your strategy, then you're on track. Now let's look at social media marketing, which is also very important. And a lot of businesses that are already digital or are looking to go digitally really invest in this. So social media marketing really builds awareness and community engagement, but you have to choose the right channels. I have had this happen multiple times where I have a new business that starts working with me and I ask them what their social channels are. They have TikTok, they have Instagram, they have LinkedIn, they have X, they have all these other platforms, Yelp. And it turns out that those are the LinkedIn, and it turns out that those are the wrong channels for these businesses. You have to learn how to choose your battles. You can't be on all social media channels unless you have a social media manager that can manage all those social media accounts. But most of the time that doesn't happen. So what you want to think about is, what are the channels that your ideal customer is probably going to be using the most? And if you're a B2B, there's a really high likelihood that the most common channel is going to be LinkedIn. If it's B2C, then yes, you can definitely go ahead and look at other channels. But I want you to be strategic about this. Usually what I do with businesses is we cut down everything. Unless they really have a robust system, we cut down everything and we focus maybe on 2-3 channels at most. And we really build a strategy around that because we want to be intentional about the content that we're putting out there. We want to be intentional about the frequency of content that we're putting out there instead of just doing random acts of marketing. We want to be strategic, and that is going to be extremely important for you to keep in mind when building your marketing strategy. The other part is paid advertising. Now, this is the leaky bucket example, which is extremely important. A lot of businesses think that paid ads is the best way to go. So you're going to get a lot of leads and you're going to get a lot of money. And in some cases, it can be true. But what happens with paid advertising is it highlights what works and what doesn't work. It just maximizes and increases the visibility of what works and what doesn't work. Meaning, if you don't have the right systems in place to capture the leads, if you don't have the right systems to deliver and fulfill the service or the product, then what's going to happen is you're going to be driving all these leads somewhere to the website or to buy from you, and you are going to have no way to capture them and no way to nurture them or even fulfill, which means you literally have a leaky bucket and you're wasting money. So before you even get into paid ads, I want you to think about, is your system from the top of funnel where they get to know you all the way to the conversion stage, is it waterproof? Meaning, do you have a way to capture them? If you had an increase of volume, would you be able to fulfill? Would you be able to onboard them? Would you be able to get the product in time for them? You have to think about all these things, because when you do turn on ads, which I think is really, really good, it is going to show what works and what doesn't work. And there is nothing worse than having a business that doesn't have the right systems in place, because that decreases trust. And we know that trust is one of the most important currencies nowadays when it comes to client acquisition. So paid ads is one of those things that I look at, but I tend to postpone it a little bit unless the company's already running it, where we go in and optimize. But if you are not running it, think about doing this once you have all the systems in place. Lead generation, lead capture systems in place, onboarding, fulfillment, all those things, then look at paid ads. The sixth one is partnerships and collaborations. Now that is an extremely good strategy, which is, what businesses can you potentially partner up with? There's a lot of businesses out there that don't necessarily compete with your same target market, but that do interact with that target market. Now, an example of this could be an architect. Let's say an architect works with the person who's buying the house or remodeling, and the architect could work with a painter, could work with an interior designer, because these interior designers, these painters, they're also going to engage with that same target market, but they're not going to be competing on the same service because I offered something different. So what you can do if you have a business like that, you can look at potential partnerships where they end up becoming your salespeople as well. They promote the business for you. Now, one thing that is extremely key to keep in mind is you always want to think about it from the angle of what's in it for them, not what's in it for you. So what benefit would they have in working with you as a partner? Not what you're going to get out of this, but rather what value are you providing from them? And always think about what is that one thing or multiple things that you can offer that is going to help their business. And by helping their business, it's going to help your business in return. But partnerships and collaborations is a great way to really increase the reach and the visibility that your business has. So this is the one thing that I've started implementing with businesses that has changed the game completely, and it has made a huge difference. Before we conclude, let's talk a little bit more about the important aspect of your marketing strategy, which is ensuring that your sales, your marketing, and your operations teams are aligned. The alignment between these three teams is crucial for a seamless customer experience and efficient business operations, because each department is going to have its own strategy. And if they are not communicating between each other, we can really build something that is robust, that aids the other departments in achieving their own goals, and them knowing what our goals are as marketers to achieve the marketing goals, then it's going to become very, very hard. And it's going to become a battle rather than a collaboration to really grow the business forward. So as you build your marketing strategy, it's important for you to communicate it with your different departments, so you ensure that you are aligned, so that you ensure that within your marketing strategy, with the different channels, with the different collaborations, with SEO, you're also promoting what sales is looking for and what operations is looking to achieve. This that I just showed you is the beginning stages of what a marketing strategy looks like. And usually I spend around 30 days, the first 30 days, just in that analysis stage where we go in depth. We analyze where the business is currently at, look at your numbers, look at what you've done in the past, what you want to do now, and what the vision for the future is. And based on all these different things, really spend your time on that analysis stage, because that is going to be the foundational pieces to really build out a robust marketing strategy. Now, that being said, if you want us to help you develop your marketing strategy, go more in depth into what you really need to do, you can go to scalesimply.io. You can book a call with me. I'm always there, happy to answer any questions, or you can drop your comments below. I'll make sure to reply to them as soon as I can. But again, keep in mind, it's going to be very important for you, even if it's a simple marketing strategy, to start building this out. Stop throwing spaghetti out the wall and really focus on building the basic systems that you need to ensure that you have a marketing strategy that really helps your business grow instead of just burning through cash without getting good results.